So what does I mean, obviously you're running for governor now, and we certainly hope you win. But if you're Speaker of the House, what's the Lee Zeldin 4 or 5 point plan? What are the priorities? There's so much to unpack right now. It's not like you can come up with a bad list. But if GOP takes it back, where do you even begin?
So you have the oversight conversation, you have the legislation conversation. On the oversight conversation, the gavels flip. Instead of Jerry Nadler being in charge of the Judiciary Committee, it's Jim Jordan. So just start thinking about what oversight starts looking like when you go from a Jerry Nadler to a Jim Jordan on the oversight. This administration, the way that the family has, they've enriched themselves, not just when Joe Biden was vice president, but now as president. So that we need to have accountability on these agencies that are Biden appointees not doing the right thing, whether you're talking about politicizing the Justice Department, politicizing anything in the intel community, or the State Department needing to be held accountable for what was a disaster of a withdrawal from Afghanistan, or who knows what's going to happen now in Ukraine. But I'm greatly concerned about the way this administration is just so weak and inconsistent generally. Now, on the legislation side, you can't just say to yourself, President Biden's never going to sign Bill X, so we're never going to move it. If there's support for legislation that cuts off funding to sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, well, move the ball on the bill, pass it in the House, try to pass it in the Senate. Challenge Joe Biden to be vetoing that legislation. Provide the funding for stronger border security, cut taxes, get rid of wasteful spending. There's a lot that needs to get done that, by the way, going into it, that Joe Biden would probably veto it. But you know what? The American public is demanding you to push forward and not give up these fights before you even start fighting.
Congressman, you brought up oversight. People blow up my email, and I'm sure they blow up your email about things like Dr. Fauci, the FBI. I'm very, very concerned about America's bureaucracy, our administrative state that is apparently packed full of Democrats who are activist Democrats at this point in time. That is a problem. And I don't see how a Republican agenda can ever be successful until we do something about that. What can we do about that?
So you schedule that primetime hearing or that middle of the day hearing that's getting national attention. And, when you're bringing, by the way, the Attorney General of the United States, you're bringing in the Secretary of State, you're bringing in these people who are high-ranking Biden administration officials, and you're setting the agenda of what that conversation, what the questions, what the commentary is going to be about. When you bring Tony Fauci in front of your committee, you have to make sure that you're getting the entire story that's out there. The facts, not just when the science is convenient, but following the science, even when the narrative doesn't quite fit what you're trying to accomplish politically. People, the American public, just wants facts and truth, and they're not getting it many respects regarding this entire pandemic response. I just heard yesterday a public service announcement on my radio where the doctor, the medical expert, and this is paid for in New York State, a blue state, paid for with taxpayer dollars to tell us that the CDC is no longer recommending cloth masks. Now, why does New York State have a statewide mask mandate? Why does a 2-year-old have to spend their entire day today, while you and I are having this conversation in this state, having to wear that cloth mask? Getting the entire story and facts out are important, because what the Democrats do with their gavel is they will narrowly define their hearing to only be about what's convenient to what they're trying to accomplish politically, when the American public deserves answers and accountability on everything. And then ultimately, it's November 2024 when we fire President Biden and we have that huge shift back. But you have to earn it. You can't just assume that pendulum's going to keep swinging. You have to earn that faith and that trust of voters and not take anything for granted ever.